Welcome to EFL Championship Round 16 Hot Takes. We are back after the international break. Back with a bang. Plenty to talk about, plenty of goals, but not many wins up at the top of the table. That means it was a very good Round 16 if you're a Coventry or a Bristol City fan. They were the only teams up there in the top 8 to win this weekend. And that means we have double figures, a 10-point automatic promotion cushion for Coventry between them and third place, 7-point cushion at the top of the table. Coventry continue to streak away. We had 3-2s, one of which was at Coventry. We had a 4-1 and a 5-1. The 4-1 was Birmingham scoring 4 goals again. The 5-1 was Southampton winning their third straight game, and managerless Swansea lose their third straight game. Norwich have got a manager, but they have no win in 12. Get down there in the comments if you were across the action, if you were at a game, if you want to talk to me about EFL Championship Round 16. Get involved and make sure you hit the thumbs up and you subscribe to this here channel if you are enjoying the content. Let's get into it. And I mean, are Coventry putting a season-defining run together right now? We'll get the it's too early to talk about blah, blah, blah crowd, but it's really, really not. It doesn't matter at what point in the season you win 9 games out of 10, whether that's in the first 16 rounds in the middle block or the end block. If you do that, it goes a long way to getting you promoted. 27 points in 10 games for Coventry. And as a bit of context, over those 10 games, the next best in the Championship, 18 points. So we talk about a 10-point automatic promotion gap. Let's be fair, they've put 9 of those in during this run. This is key for Coventry. The longer this keeps going, the more margin for error the Sky Blues have. Yes, you can't get promoted in round 17, but you can certainly build up a massive bank of margin for error, and that is what Coventry are doing fantastically. They won 3-2. We did this on the watch-along, and they actually came from 2-0 down. But this wasn't, and we're going to talk about maybe one Derby versus Watford where the game is getting away from one team and all of a sudden it spins in completely the other direction. It wasn't really like that. West Brom were playing it quite well, and Johnston and Hegebo combined brilliantly for 2 goals, but they were breakaway goals. They played it really nicely, West Brom, to be fair. That's how you're going to have to play Coventry at the CBS. Take your chances, get up the pitch when you can. They got themselves 2 up, but Eccles before half-time, and the absolute key moment in this game was the crazy second yellow card for Jay Malumbi, who surely knew full well the second yellow was coming out when he pulled back Josh Eccles. Yes, I agree with Frank Lampard that Coventry may well have gone on and won 11 versus 11. But we will never know that for certain, and you never want to die wondering. And they'd done the hard work. They'd got the 2 goals it's probably going to take to beat Coventry this season, given they are crashing the goals in at a rate 43 in 16 games. And then they were let down by Malumbi. And look, we saw this in the Coventry-Sheffield United game where they were behind in that game, and they just came like an absolute tidal wave of attacks in the second half. And I mean, it's even more pronounced when it's 10 versus 11 and they know they're going to Middlesbrough on Tuesday night. And there was just that sense as soon as that red card came out. I said there and then, this game is not going to be a draw. Either West Brom are going to dramatically cling on and probably defend about 50 shots here, or Coventry are going to score once. And if they score once, they're definitely going to score again and win the game. That they did. Sims and Torp with the goals. And yeah, just absolutely fantastic from Coventry. We can talk about the minutiae of victories, but there's been 9 out of 10. I think it's far, far more pertinent to talk about what they are doing in terms of the race. And it is a race, isn't it? A league table You've got to finish higher than 22 of the other teams, and you will indeed be in the Premier League. And Coventry are the hot favourites. They're just by far the most consistent and high-quality side in the division. There's big tests coming up, as we spoke about. There's 2 games against Ipswich in the next block. They go to Middlesbrough on Tuesday night. But again, you talk about margin for error. Coventry have got to the point where, with a few all right results in the other games, they could literally win none of those games. And at FA Cup third round, not only still be top, but be top and clear. And sometimes in a race, you just have to get past the hard bits still out in front. And that appears to be what Coventry are doing and what they are going to continue to do this season in the EFL Championship. West Brom, I feel sorry for Ryan Mason, because what more can you do in terms of going away to the league leaders, getting yourself 2 goals up, your game plan's working, and you get let down with a red card? Yes, I reiterate, they could have lost the game 11 versus 11, but I don't think, even though maybe stuff has been on Ryan Mason this season, I don't think this one is, and I don't want to dig out individual players, but it's a bad mistake by Jay Malumbi for that second yellow card. It is 11 points in 12 games for West Brom. I always look at anything fewer than 1 point per game as relegation form, and that is over a sample size of 12 games. Back-to-back home games coming. They need a win in there. They've got quality. Mikey Johnston has now got 6 assists. I think it's only Giles of Hull who's got more, but yeah, not delivering at the moment, are they? West Brom. Coventry are, and they face Middlesbrough on Tuesday. So let's talk about Middlesbrough. They stay in second place after drawing 1-1 at Oxford. There could have been an overtake today. However, it's been a good day actually for Middlesbrough in terms of people chasing them, because Stoke lost. So I've just said there a couple of minutes ago, it's a race, and Middlesbrough are a point further on in that race. So you look upon that as something decent. They were behind at Oxford. It ended 1-1. Harris with a nice goal from Oxford. You love to see that when the ball goes out wide. It's like, right, get in the box from the number 10 position. And that's what Harris does and sweeps home. Whittaker redirects. Was it Britain's kind of cross shot into the box? And they're getting a tune out of Whittaker now to some extent. He's the joint top scorer there with 3. But we are kind of making a point there and damning with faint praise when it comes to Middlesbrough attacking wise, because that has kind of been the issue for Boro. They've been very solid at the back. And here's the first mention of dear old Rob Edwards under Rob Edwards. And now we're making this tricky transition across to Mr. Hellberg, who is waiting for his work permit and sort of waiting in the wings. You would have assumed, even if he'd got the work permit, that Adi Vivash would still do some kind of soft handover over 1, 2, 3 games across this week. That's the first one gone. They've got out of Dodge with a draw. That is 6 draws in 12, though, for Boro. And since round 5, remember, did they win first 4 on the trot, possibly Boro, or at least 3 from the first 4, or something like that? They had a hell of a start, didn't they? They are a bottom half side since round 5. So that is the last 12 games. Middlesbrough would be 13th in the league table. So yes, they're up there. Yes, they have bigger advantage over Stoke in 3rd than they did at the start of the day. But the trend is not upwards over that longer period. Oxford, I was interested to hear Gary Rowett say, on the one hand, he's pleased because Middlesbrough is second. On the other hand, disappointed that, they got in front in a kind of tight game and didn't go on to win. And they have led in the past 2 games now, Oxford, and not gone on to win either of them, obviously, at West Brom before the international break and in this one against the Boro. Surprisingly, they have more away wins than home wins, which is quite the departure from Oxford for last season. So to put a bow on that, it's all now on to Tuesday night, and another first against second game. And Coventry, will that be 2 of them in 3 games? Because they played Stoke when that was first against second. So the fixture difficulty is there for Coventry. Can Middlesbrough slow down the Sky Blues? And can Middlesbrough get a bit of a trend up going for themselves once again? Get your views in the comments. We'll be doing the predictions with Sam Parkin. They'll come out on Monday morning. And we will talk about those 2 sides up there, Coventry, Middlesbrough. We're going to put Leicester up there because it was Leicester versus Stoke. And as I mentioned, Stoke had the opportunity to go above Middlesbrough today. Had they got the win, they would have given the goal difference. But it is now back-to-back defeats for Stoke. They lost 2-1 at Leicester. We're looking for something tangible from Leicester. Am I still looking for something tangible? 2 shots on target in the game. They waited and they pounced. I've got to say Mavididi and Daka have not delivered this season. I think it's literally a first goal for both of them. And they pounce on a misplaced pass. And Mavididi, it's a brilliant goal, isn't it? He slams it in off the bar. And then they catch Stoke again high up the pitch. And Daka goes through and makes it 2-0. So, again, it's a win for Leicester. It's back-to-back wins. 7 points in 3. And they are 1 point off the playoff spots. But I'm still, seeing individuals. Mavididi, and we've had Fatawi, we've had Jordan James. Ramsey score really great goals. That's fine, but it won't get you promoted. You need a bit more than that. And B, yeah, they waited for mistakes, and they came. We're not seeing a team sweeping other teams away like we did see Leicester last time they were in the Championship. So, yeah, you can look upon that, a couple of ways, because if it does click and improve somewhat, then, Leicester will move straight into those playoff spots, don't they? Obviously, it's going to be a busy week off the pitch as well, because the hearing is going to be taking place. 6 months we've waited for that one since Leicester's charge, and we don't expect any decision to be made anytime soon, but that's kind of going on in the background as well. So Stoke, back-to-back losses for the Potters, and 2 conceded for only the second time this season. But they don't want this run to snowball. They had a triple win going into those last 2 games, and we're either side of international break as well. So they're going to need a bounce back, aren't they, Stoke? They go again on Tuesday at home to Charlton, which will not be easy, especially with Charlton reacting what we're going to talk about in their game. So Leicester kind of bit papering over the cracks, but they're in an all right position, aren't they, if they can get on a bit of a better run. Stoke hanging in there up at the top in 3rd place, but back-to-back defeats. As we mentioned at the top of the video, Bristol City along with Coventry were the only other winners at the top of the table. And this is a really good one for Bristol City. They won 3-0 against Swansea. They move into 4th spot. And, there were 2 narratives going into this one. One is that Bristol City were going to be all the better for having had the 2 weeks off, and they would have some more players available. And 2 was that Swansea were going to be in a little bit of disarray because the formerly mentioned Kim Hellberg, who is going to go manage Middlesbrough, I think Swansea wanted him as their manager. And if it is the case that they sacked Alan Sheehan, expecting for Kim Hellberg to take over, then they have a problem because they don't have a manager now. And the one they wanted is going elsewhere, higher up the league. And they need to find another one. So I very much went into this game thinking it looks a nice one for Bristol City. That is how it turned out. Knight and Sykes back. They were used subs. Pring was an unused sub. Borges started. McCrory started. So hopefully we can stop talking about Bristol City player availability and start talking about people like Anis Mehmeti, who got 3 assists. 1 for Dickey, one for Reece and one for Hirakawa. What a performance by him. And despite all the talk from Bristol City fans about injuries, that is 13 points in 7 games. One off the magical 2 points per game over a 7-game sample. And we all know that if they win the next game, Bristol City against Wrexham, that will be 16 points in 8. And we then would have a Bristol City side pushing towards the top 2, running at 2 points per game for 8 games. So, looks all right. And I must admit, I looked at that side today, and I know they have had injuries, but my God, he started Armstrong, Reece, Twine, and Mehmeti. I love how attacking that is. So we could have some fun with Bristol City going forward. Swansea, I mean, my God. Yeah, they need to have some fun, don't they? They're not having much fun at the moment. 3 defeats in a row. Obviously, 2 of those before Alan Sheehan was sacked. And maybe we're in a bit of a pickle now without a manager and the one you wanted going elsewhere. 1 win in 9 in all competitions. We know it's been higgledy-piggledy in terms of goals and all focused on 1 or 2 players, really, and Vipotnik not in the team there. Ronald did start Vipotnik off the bench, Ida there, but they've drawn a blank. And if you now compound problems scoring with having no manager and lots of goals flying in, that is 9 goals conceded in the past 3 games, then Swansea need to fix things up pretty quickly. They are 20th in the table. We only have 11 games to talk about because the 2 Sheffield clubs play tomorrow. So someone below Swansea is going to be scoring some points before the weekend is over. And, I mean, I suppose Swansea fans will be hoping that's Sheffield Wednesday. But if it's Sheffield United, then, you know, they will start to feel the teams below them breathing down their neck and they'll be looking downwards rather than upwards. Swansea, get your thoughts in on all that little lot. Coventry 3, West Brom 2, Oxford 1, Middlesbrough 1, Leicester 2, Stoke 1, Bristol City 3, Swansea 0. On to the next page and to Friday night, where our first game back after the international break was Preston 1, Blackburn 2. A tremendous win for Blackburn. And Blackburn, I've got to say, fair play, Valerian Ismail. 4 wins in 5, and we are talking about a squad. Maybe we can pass the injury baton from Bristol City across to Blackburn with the keeper, Toth, the key centre-back, Wharton, and the captain, Cantwell, all out. And they go to Preston, who are really good at home, in a local derby with Montgomery and Pratt. That might be the first start for both of them this season. It'll certainly be the first time they've started together for sure. And what a great win. And they had to show resilience as well, because they scored from a couple of set plays, but no sooner had they scored than they conceded an equaliser. Miller equalised by Devine. But then Goodjohnson did the job in the second half. And I think Ismail, under quite tricky circumstances here, is doing a pretty good job. Remember, they've got that game in hand. They had a couple of points on for the game in hand, for example, and they would be at 21, collected with Southampton and West Brom, and they would be 11 points, okay, with Sheffield United still to play this round, above relegation. And that's got to be the goal. A, keep away from the bottom 3, and B, can you build a team with your Montgomery and Pratt and youngsters coming through like they've done before with, say, Wharton or Dolan, although no, he was at Preston, wasn't he? But, yeah, really good from Val, particularly over the last 5 games with those 4 victories in there. Preston, bit of a surprise this one because, you know, I think there's been a lot of surprise of how good Preston have been. And then all of a sudden you're coming into this run of games thinking, okay, Preston solidify themselves up in that top 6 in your local derby and you're at home, and they lose it. 3 L's in 7 for Preston. There'd only been 1 in the first 9. So the stats say they are becoming easier to beat as the season goes on, and easier to beat at Deepdale now. Birmingham and Blackburn have gone there and won. I wouldn't be panicking if I were a Preston fan. They're still up there in 5th. They've still had a brilliant start, but this does not want to become a pattern, and certainly it was Blackburn's day on Friday night. And it was QPR's day in Shepherd's Bush today. QPR 3, Hull 2. And I think that's, my God, did the boss need that one? Julian Stefan. What was it? I can see 3 defeats and a draw going into this one. I think possibly. Was there another defeat? Had they gone 4 in a row prior to that? No, it was only 3 in a row. But it was 4 defeats in 5 and 1 win in 6 as a couple of runs going into this. And they were behind twice to Hull. Hull are absolute box office popcorn fest this season. We have now had 55 goals in Hull's games so far this season, although they're going blow for blow with Coventry. Coventry have had 58, obviously both sides involved in a 3-2 today, and Hull led twice in this game. Gelhardt, he is on fire. He opened it up. 8 goal contributions in 7 games for Gelhardt, and you would think he's not getting anywhere near the Leeds team at any point. So I wonder whether there may be bids for him in the January window from Hull, or I know Hull had embargoes and whatnot, but certainly maybe other Championship clubs might be looking at that and thinking, oh, that guy will get us some goals if we can prize him away. As I said, Hull are complete box office here. The 4th 3-2 of the season. They've won the other 3. QPR getting back into this one twice. Chair, then Destin scored for Hull. Brilliant cross by Giles. We mentioned Mikey Johnston being second only to Giles in terms of 6 assists and 7 assists. That's a great cross from the left wing there. But here comes Jimmy Dunn, who judging by his celebration, didn't quite mean to clip that perfectly over everyone's head for 2-2. But Burrell, offside or onside, you can tell me in the comments, is in great form. 5 goals in 7 games. He's been a great signing from League One from Burton, wasn't it? Brilliant pick up that one. And QPR gets a much, much needed win. Hull, okay. They've lost 2 in their last 3, but they won the game before that, so it's stripey for them. And who the hell knows what they'll do next? Well, they play my lot next, so I hope I know what they're going to do next. But they could do anything. Hull could win the next 4, lose the next 4. They are our box office attraction this season, Hull. But it was QPR who were banking the points this weekend, 3-2. Portsmouth 3, Millwall 1, and I will run the same narrative for John Mousinho as I did for Julian Stefan. This guy needed a win big style. And, we spoke about mitigating factors and fixture difficulty and injuries. Look, that always gets brought up when teams aren't winning. But Pompey got the job done here. It's Pompey 3, Millwall 1. First win in 7. Third home win of the season, and 3 goals for the first time in a game this year. And some good news. Players back. Segicic started in this one. Lang off the bench. Looks like we spoke about them having quality with Murphy and Bishop as well. Yang. Decent players to put out a front 4 and a couple of reserves there, but they just weren't being able to do that, were they? Pompey. I suppose if you're a Millwall fan, you could argue, what the hell did they come up against today? Because Portsmouth goals were either really good and one of them was quite lucky. Swanson absolutely leathers one in. Brilliant goal from him. Kramer's own goal is just unlucky, isn't it? Segicic crosses it, deflects, and you're thinking, where's the worst possible place that can go? Loops over everyone into the back of the net. And then Williams, I think you just have to doff your cap to him. He's coming in off the left and they're probably all thinking, okay, fine. He's okay there. Just funnel him inwards. That's safe. No. Slams the ball into the back of the net as well. Ivanovic had got a goal at 2-0, hadn't he? But there was also a red card for Joe Bryan on halfway, dived into a tackle there. So, look, if you're Millwall, you can say, yeah, this was just Portsmouth's day, wasn't it? And the big moments really went Pompey's way, and they were, good value for their win as a result of that. If you're looking for positivity, I suppose Ivanovic, back-to-back goals for him. We were talking a lot about him in the, kind of top scorers race this season. Was this going to be a big one for him? 10, 15, 20 goals. Well, he's going to need to go on a run, but he's on a run now because he's gone back-to-back goals. Although I'm looking for positives from Millwall, but there aren't that many. No win in 4, 1 away win in 7 in all comps for the Lions. And it is just Portsmouth's day, and they've got a reaction. They've got a good start to the block of games. They've won at home. They've, cleansed themselves of the winless run, and they've got to now churn out and be more like they were, particularly in the second half of last season, where this type of thing was happening quite a lot down at Fratton, and Portsmouth were moving very, very nicely. 3-1. Ipswich 0, Wrexham 0. And this is the two sides now with the longest undefeated streaks in the division. 5 and 6 games, or 5 and 4, 5 and 6, I think. So, yeah, of course it's a draw. And Wrexham now have the most draws in the league, and they've only lost once in 11 games. And this is one of those 0-0 draws where it just looks way more positive for Wrexham than it does for Ipswich. And I mean, you can say well done to Wrexham, because if you think, who are their key players? O'Brien wasn't there. He came off the bench. Kabore, the right wing back, and Kiefer Moore weren't there either. So I'm sure if you said to Wrexham before they got on the bus, or flew, or whatever you do to get from Wrexham to Ipswich in 2025 as a football team, and they would have said, right, we'll guarantee you a clean sheet and a point. You don't even have to get on the plane, bus, whatever. I'm sure they would have taken it. And looking at the stats, 19 shots to 2, 0 shots on target for Wrexham. They got out of dodge. They got the job done. And Ipswich, they're just a bit limp. They just can't get it moving. I mean, it's difficult analysing Ipswich, because if you look at it on results and streaks, it's all okay. It's fine. I think, I know we were plastering that 10-game run for Coventry where they've won 9 of them. Outside of Coventry, it's then Ipswich and who else was it on 18 points? I can't quite remember, but so the results and the run is okay. Are they playing well? Have they got a steady side? Are the partnerships developing? Is the pattern of play developing? No, and no. And it's just struggling at home, aren't they? And it's definitely a repeating pattern here. 2 goals in the past 4 home games. Bear in mind, they've scored 4 goals in the past 2 in each of the past 2 away games. And I can sit here and say, I put my emotional football supporter hat on and say, oh, it's hard for Ipswich at Portman Road. Everyone comes and they sit back and defend. And I can say that, and then it's like, grow up. Ipswich have got their year 1 parachute payment. They've got a great squad. Of course teams are going to come and defend. Deal with it. Beat them. This is what happens when you're a favourite in a league, and Ipswich aren't necessarily handling it at home at Portman Road particularly well, having a lot of the ball, a lot of chances, and not really converting them. We'll talk about this on Blue Monday tomorrow. I'll be on that show with David Diamond and Joe Fairs, and we can talk about the dynamic here. Only 2 defeats in 12 games for Ipswich. So we can talk about results, saying it's fine. And I'll always draw a comparison to that Paul Heckingbottom Sheffield United team, where they were just kind of steady all season. And there they are at the end of the season in second place. And if that gets Ipswich over the line, then I'm sure all Ipswich fans will take that. But you want to see a barometer of good, consistent performance that says you're going to have a good season. And I don't think we're seeing that yet from Ipswich, despite points and results and lack of defeats and smaller sample size form tables looking all right for the Tractor Boys. Anyway, more of that on Blue Monday tomorrow. Get down there in the comments then. Preston 1, Blackburn 2, QPR 3, Hull 2, Portsmouth 3, Millwall 1, Ipswich 0, Wrexham 0. And from one extreme to the other, we were talking about Ipswich, a team that is not clicking and scoring at home. Let's talk about Birmingham, who for the third consecutive home game now smashed in 4 goals. They have really clicked at home. They beat Portsmouth 4-0. They beat Millwall 4-0. What are you playing at, Birmingham? They conceded a goal today. Pathetic. 4-1 today. So 12-1 and 9 points for Birmingham across the last 3 games. The caveat is this 4-1 win was against Norwich, and Norwich are beleaguered. They have changed manager. Obviously, none of this is on new boss Philippe Clement, who's coming at the back end of this week. Probably had a training session. I bet he wishes he'd had a transfer window. Although the way Norwich has been operating in recent transfer windows, probably better off just coaching the players rather than signing any new ones, because they seem to be making it worse every window. Norwich, don't they? But Philippe Clement needs to be judged over the short to mid to long term, not the immediate term of one game and 4-1. But Norwich are a bloody mess, aren't they? And he needs to try and build some confidence. And he talked about not only were they weak mentally, sort of Clement alluded to, and confidence-wise, but physically, they're just not functioning like a side that's competing in any way, shape or form. And I get it. It's been a horrible, horrible run for Norwich. Talk about Coventry being good, 9 wins in 10. Norwich, 8 defeats in 9. That is horrifically bad. And this actually was the biggest defeat of the season. So this is the other thing we've found with Norwich this season, where you think, well, okay, they'll be all right. It'll turn around. It'll come good. And it always gets worse. Well, there's another thing that's got worse. They've changed the manager and had their biggest defeat of the season. But I'm being semi-facetious saying that. But they are just finding a way of losing and finding a way of things getting worse. Kvistgaarden, though, now has scored 3 goals in 3 games. And if you actually drill down his minutes, he scored 4 in probably like 3 games worth of minutes. So he's in good form. That is something for Norwich to cling on to. Birmingham have got plenty more to hold on to. That is 4 wins in 6. So if you do a little 6-game form table, Birmingham are only behind Coventry and Derby, who have obviously won 5 games in that 6-game window. And sometimes in football, you just have to wait, throw some you-know-what at the wall, and try a few things out, and you'll find your solution, especially if you've assembled a squad like Birmingham have. There are solutions to be found, and this looks like the team that he's gonna ride out now. Dux up front got his first goals, 2 of them. Stansfield now has 6 goals and 2 assists in his last 9 games. He's in tremendous form, Stansfield. Iwata he's not a midfielder anymore. He's the right back. Doyle is in midfield, and we kind of know what we're getting with Birmingham. Too many football teams that begin with B that I have to talk about on a daily basis here. But yeah, great week for Birmingham. They showed off the plans for the new stadium as well. And I'm sure if they win 4 of their next 6 games, and that would be 8 wins from 12, then, they're 1 point off the playoffs at the moment. They will almost certainly be in the playoffs, and it's moving very much in the right direction. I know maybe 4-6 weeks ago, there was some questions of, all the money's been spent. this incredible ambition and expectation, and it wasn't quite there at that point. And reasonably or unreasonably, people ask the question, is this the guy? Chris Davis, is he going to be able to get them to where it needs to get to? Or how soon is he going to get them to where they need to get to? And I think he's answered a few of those questions over recent weeks, and things certainly trending in a better direction than they were, say, God, I remember half-time at that game at Wrexham. We were doing that as a watch-along, and there was some legitimate concerns there with the form and the direction of travel for Birmingham. But it's very, very nice for Blues now. And they go to West Brom in midweek, and they will very, very much fancy another W there, weren't they? Birmingham 4, Norwich 1. Here is our third and final 3-2. And this is a proper 3-2, isn't it? Where it's a comeback from 2-0 down, away from home, with a couple of late goals, and I don't know, feels a little bit more chaotic and ridiculous than, the other 2 3-2s that we've had at QPR and Coventry. Great win for Watford, and their first away win of the season, and just pure championship that is. Let's take Derby, who have won 5 consecutive games, the hottest winning streak in the division. Let's take Watford, who have no away wins, and probably, I haven't checked, but probably certainly no one had won fewer games. Well, you can't win fewer games. You know what I'm saying. Bottom of the away table, and stick Derby 2-0 up, and of course Watford go on to win the game at the end. Derby doing bits again. Sanderson and Langas with the goals, and Ward, set plays, wing-backs getting involved, headed goals for Derby. It looked like Derby were just going to continue churning out the wins, doing Derby things there. But very strangely for a John Eustace side, a collapse here from 2-0 up. First home defeat in 6 for the Rams. That was the 10th set-piece goal, according to Who Scored, that Langas got to put them 2-0 up. But that was as good as it was going to get, because here come Watford. I tell you what, Keremgard, go and watch back. I don't know if any Watford fans have done it on Twitter or whatever. All his goals back to back. He's a good finisher, isn't it? I'm sure he scored this goal before, where the ball is just crossed into him. The defender's touch tight. He gets there ahead of the defender and just sweeps it into the net. Kind of low probability chance. But I think this guy can get you goals at championship level. Well, how many goals is he going to get, do we think? How many goals has he got thus far? Fewer than Loser, actually. He's only got 4 goals, but I mean, Loser's a hot hand in the division, and Loser actually gets another assist. Now, Loser has got a goal contribution in each of the last 6 games, and after Kayembe scored the penalty won by Iran Kunda, John Eustace said, just don't go to ground in that position, and I totally get it. Kayembe, and Derby may be very good at attacking set pieces, but this was a horrible one to concede. Just a free header for Kayembe, glasses it in, and Watford get the win 3-2. And that was who I was going to discuss. When we were talking about Ipswich, I was reaching for, when you're looking at the long-term kind of form ladders and guides, it was Watford, wasn't it? Who are at 1.8 points per game off the last 10. So they're in all right form, and they've changed manager. And we say it about Watford. I've just said Keremgard can get you goals. Losers quality. Iran Kunda can be anything that he wants to be. They've got good individual players, a manager they like, and they're in pretty good nick. I wonder whether they might be some kind of dark horse to do something at some point. Let's see if they give them another 18 points from the next 10 games. Where would that put them? 41 at game 26. And I think they'll be on the outskirts of doing something pretty good there. Derby 2, Watford 3. And my God, Charlton 1, Southampton 5. this was insanity. We were doing the watch along of Coventry West Brom, and this game was going on at the same time, and there were 4 goals by Southampton in 8 minutes. I think it goes like 16, 18, 20, 22. Absolutely incredible. And when you consider that Charlton are good, and they're good defensively, and they're good at home, and Southampton have not been good this season, and not clicked, and have quality players that haven't been delivering. For that to, I know someone said in the comments in the watch along, well, they've been underperforming their XG, and it was a kind of tongue-in-cheek comment of, well, there you go. That's probably evened all of that up just in an 8-minute period with all those goals flying in. But yeah, just absolutely incredible by Southampton. Manning, Armstrong, Yanda, Azaz, and then Azaz gets another one just before half-time, and they are 5-0 up at half-time. Lloyd Jones heads one in. Nathan Jones, keen to point out that he had 2 of his first-choice defenders out, and Bree is on loan from Southampton and obviously exempt from playing. But yeah, just one of those weird ones where a game just goes a certain way, and I think things get in people's heads on the pitch, and one team grows and another one shrivels into pieces, and they just seem to be walking right through the middle of the Charlton defence and just counter-attacking with massive confidence and quality. And you'd just be fascinated to know what Will Still is probably thinking watching that, when he couldn't get a tune, he couldn't get goals out of these Southampton players, and they have been utterly ruthless for Tonda Eka today. And they've been ruthless for Tonda Eka, the interim boss, over 3 games now, because they've won all 3 of them. Now, I'm not suggesting this is what Southampton are doing, but as a rule, I don't agree with the Alan Sheehan paradigm that we've got there. Or who was it for Cardiff? I can't quite remember. They had someone, was it Omar Reitz and maybe someone before him, Mark Hudson? I can't remember. But if you're running a football club and you have a staff member who essentially replaces the manager as interim boss, has some good results, and then you hire them, that doesn't strike me as the most forward thinking. However, when it comes to Eka and Southampton, there is a bit of a Keith Andrews at Brentford type thing, where if they liked him and just wanted to bring him in and get him in the mix there, and I think he was doing the under-21s, that it might not be as straightforward as just, oh, right, you take the team, you know, you can do it, fine, while we find a new manager. Oh, you won some games, you can have the job. It's not that straightforward, is it? I think there's something a bit more to this. And I think the noise is coming out of Southampton about, oh, he'll still be taking the team after the international break, means that along with the results, you can't ignore the results, but they shouldn't be as significant as some people make them. But you give them what significance you will, he's doing a fair old audition to get this job, and it feels more realistic than ever. Go figure, after a 5-1 away win, yeah, that he's actually going to get this job, and Eka is going to be the long-term manager for Southampton. And it's difficult when the guy's had 3 games interim and won all of them. It's faultless, so it's difficult to argue against. But yeah, we'll see what Southampton are going to come up with. Remember, we're in the midst of a 3-game week, so I mean, even if they were to do something this week, it's not going to land until next week. So he's got another 2 games coming, and you know what happens if he goes 5 for 5? Who knows? Who has Southampton got in midweek? Leicester. Interesting. 2 Year 1 parachute teams go head to head there. But yeah, Nathan Jones pretty magnanimous about this. Held his hands up, beaten by the better side. Move on. Don't do it again. Charlton 1, Southampton 5. Although Southampton fans are going to hope they do it again every single week. 5-1 to the Saints. We've got a Sheffield Wednesday badge up there, only nominally, to say that game has not happened yet at time of recording. It's the Steel City derby. It's Sheffield Wednesday versus Sheffield United. By the time you're watching this, you may well know the scoreline of that game. It has gone with the Blades over quite a long time, actually. It's been no goals for Sheffield Wednesday in the last 5 of these. A couple of 1-0s to United and 3-0 draws. So it's actually 8 years since Sheffield Wednesday have even scored a goal in this game. Sheffield United are 4 points adrift after the Oxford draw. So even if they go there and get the win, they will still be in the bottom 3. They will be hot favourites to do it, but it's a derby. Hillsborough will be full. Sheffield Wednesday will be full of the old siege mentality, given they are gross outsiders, given what's happened at their club this season. But both in the bottom 3. And I tell you what, if there was motivation for the Sheffield Wednesday fans to make a noise, the idea that they could unsettle Sheffield United and be in some way responsible to dragging them, into what, is still to me a very unlikely relegation battle, but they're in it. We're at round 16 and they're going to end this round in the bottom 3, whatever happens in that game. So, yeah, I will leave it there because you will likely know more than I about this Steel City derby. We will see how that one pans out to close out round 16. There we go. Plenty to talk about. Are Coventry putting together an unassailable run here? This 9 wins in 10. Are we going to look back and say, oh, they had it stitched up after that run, didn't they? It'd take quite the fall off now for Coventry to come back to the pack in the immediate term, wouldn't it? But it is Coventry Middlesbrough on Tuesday, and we very much look forward to that. Bristol City were the other, well, I say big winners, the only other winners there, with Millwall dropping out of the playoff spots today. And down at the bottom, we really don't know the picture until the Steel City derby is complete. So things will change. We do have rounds 17 and 18 before the week is out. So plenty to keep up on. As I say, give me your views down there in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. It's really, really important that you do that. It helps us out massively. And the thumbs up. Loads of content coming up this week. I'll be on Blue Monday with Joe and Dave talking Ipswich Wrexham Sunday night, 8 p.m. The predictions will be out on Monday. And then I'm trying to remember what the TV games are. Southampton, Leicester, Tuesday night, and West Brom, Birmingham, Wednesday night. The plan is we will be doing watch-alongs for both of those games, and then I get to do Ipswich, by God, Oxford Ipswich on Friday night we should be doing, and then we will likely do, I don't know what the main TV game is it Leicester, Sheffield United on Saturday. Look, whatever happens, there's going to be loads of content this week. We'll do mini hot takes during the week. I think my point is you've got to hit that subscribe button. So much Championship content, and make yourself a part of it by getting involved down there in the comments. Those are your hot takes. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And if you haven't enjoyed it football-wise, it's a midweek round. Plenty of chance to fix it in just a couple of days' time.